Cameraman Grades, cameramangrades.com. How to film football training and professional consultations for camera operators, video coordinators, and sports video professionals at all levels. Find us at cameramangrades.com or contact us directly at cameramangrades@gmail.com for your own sports video consultation. Currently looking for the best camera operator of the 2025 NFL season. These are the best of the best, and we are putting it to the test. Today we are looking at the Green Bay Packers, Week 10 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's get right into it. Okay, zooming out to keep the kicker in the shot. Finding the receiver on the other side, and then zooming in to tighten it up. Looks good. Nice tight set to start. 1st and 10. It's a run. Handoff up the middle. Okay. Good run recognition. Recognizing it and coming back in. Alright, 2nd down. Got 5 yards on that. Pulling back on the pass, keeping up with all the routes, then zooming back in at the end of the play. Excellent work. Great set to start again. Motion did not change the framing at all. Defensive shifting around a little bit. Okay. Looks good. Motion. Not handing it off there, handing it up the middle. Excellent. Okay, single back. Receiver is out. Handing it off again. Okay. Doing a great job of not zooming out any farther once they recognize the handoff. Checking the time on the clock. And getting back down to the field. Okay. So here, not sure what they were seeing, why they thought they should zoom out there once you can clearly see it's a quarterback sneak, right? Just straight up the middle. And then zooming out is just going to create all this extra space. All right, so let's just take a look. Okay, you can see how out of hand it gets if you're just going the wrong direction, even just briefly. You know, when these athletes are moving this quickly on the field, it just goes. You know, this is less than 50%. This is a quarter of your screen, quarter, right? A quarter of your screen, but it's 50% on a diagonal. So this is the center point of the frame, right? So, yeah. All right. So that would be where we could tighten it up a whole lot on that. If we can just recognize that that play was not, you know, there was no reason to think that that was going to be a anything other than a quarterback sneak. All right, handoff again, right up the middle. Okay. Packers asserting some ground dominance to start the game. Okay, well, now they went empty, right? Kept that back with them right up until right before the snap. Okay, did a good job of keeping up with everybody down the field. Pass again, empty set. Long ball. Oh, okay, great job. 4th and 20. That's going to be a punting situation. Great job. Excellent work. Nice job. Look at that. Awesome. Awesome job. Oh, here we go. Wow. Alright, interesting. I was expecting that to go straight up the middle, and he kind of looped around the edge. Just a little bit. Okay, got a guy blocking up here. Nice job of not making any knee-jerk reactions there. Okay. Oh, okay. So let's see here. This is nice, tight to start. But just with this receiver here, he's obviously going to vacate, and then you've got all this space behind the quarterback. If you don't come over to accommodate for it, I'd even say tighten this up beforehand, because it's just going to make less for you to do after the play starts. But if you're not going to accommodate for the fact that that receiver vacated, see they zoomed out, and that just creates more and more space behind the quarterback there. Okay. So you can see an entire third of the frame. This is the only person, aside from the referee, right? I always want to give respect to the referees, but not really who I'm watching for. I want to see the quarterback, okay? And he's the only person in this entire third of the frame. So 33% of your shot is used on one person. And the majority, and he's right on the line, right? So it's really, 30% is completely empty, vacated space. All right. Nice. Okay. So this is a different formation, different setup. You don't have the receiver down on this side. So the farthest person is the running back, who is just running through the defense. So there you go. Awesome. Okay. Nice work. Okay. The framing to start is each play is really good. Yep. Excellent. Okay. Let's just talk about that for a second. Okay. So this is a nice tight frame. You're within 5 yards here, and then 5 yards here as well. But there is going to be some motion, but they're going to take a second and say, hey, we can actually cut this down and tighten it up, right? Yeah, and then that allows, so now you're back, with three yards on one side, 1 yard on the other, 1.5 yards. Okay, so you're within 5 yards total between the two sides. And then right here, perfect. Right here, still really good. You're starting to gain a little space here and here. All right, so zoomed out a little bit farther there, and that created a little more space, but you're still within 10 yards, and ball just went out of bounds anyway. So very, very, very good job there. All right, so now we got a little more space behind the quarterback. Oh my, It doesn't matter. Anyway, what it said to tighten it up, they didn't really have a chance to. Yes, it's 538. Let's go. All right. Wow, there's a whole lot of extra space there. All right, let's move on. Okay. 2/3. Yep. And then the very first thing you have to do is to come over, right? So, and okay, well now we got a whole lot of extra space, a lot of crowd down here at the bottom. But, you know, when I say 2/3, 2/3 to the defense means that you would actually put the ball, you know, instead of putting the ball towards the center of the field, you put it on this line, and then that spreads everybody out along this range here, and now you've got a whole lot more of your space on your frame is used for the actual, you know, team, as opposed to just this extra empty space behind the quarterback. All right. But once the play develops, they actually do cut that down, that space down. If you had just started there, then you wouldn't have to make that initial move to do that. All right. And then here, you know, this is within a yard, still within 5 yards. Wow, he put the brakes right on the line there. This is really good footage across the board, okay? Actually, really like that. Aside from just having a little bit of extra space behind the quarterback on that play, you know, everything else with, you know, would be a challenging situation for anybody. They handled it really well. Nice. Cool. Okay. Yep. There's that left to right movement, right? They recognized that extra space behind the quarterback and immediately came over right before the snap. Okay, tightening up within 5 yards, both directions. Nice job. Looks good. That works. Okay. Alright. Got a lead blocker. Is it going that direction, or is it going to be a rollout? Rollout. Okay. And throwing it away. Alright. Nice job. You can kind of see from that formation, you know, the rollout was definitely a possibility. Okay, motion going across. Okay, nice. Excellent job. Okay. Alright, so behind the corner on this side we have less than 5 yards. Behind the quarterback we got, you know, 7, 8, 9 yards, right? So, of course, you know, he takes one step backwards and then is immediately going forward, right? So, and now we're dropping the corner, right? To leave space behind the quarterback and then drop the corner out of the play is, I mean, why? Let's keep the football players on the field in the shot and drop the grass and the refs. Keep the safety, drop the refs. All right. Oh, ball's on the ground. Okay. Good setup within 5 yards, both directions. Safety's dropping back. Decent. Okay, good. Get tight. And zoom out with it. Awesome. Okay, getting a little, whoa, okay, all right, hold on a second. Right there, this is all good. This is fantastic. Right there, okay. Now, if you can recognize the scramble, right? Quarterback's rolling out at this point, he's scrambling around. He might still throw it, but not likely that people are going to continue to expand out down the field. There might be somebody, that breaks loose one direction or another, but most of the time when the quarterback starts to scramble, everybody changes direction and starts scrambling with him to try to get to the open space. But to keep zooming out is going to just continue to gain more and more space at that point, especially if he pulls it down and isn't going to throw it. All right, so right here, how much space is that? Okay, this is a referee, so we're not going to include him. Let's tighten that up. Put it down to the corner. Okay, we're less than 70% of the screen at this point. And really, I mean, what it really comes down to is right here. You got 10, 15, 18, 19 yards, 18 to 20 yards behind the deepest man, which, there was nothing going on back there. All right, 4th and 1. Second quarter, switching sides here, straight up the middle. Okay, and then kind of going back to that same thing, there's no indication that this is doing anything but a quarterback sneak. So even to zoom out even a little bit makes no sense, right? Especially at this point, he's already down. It's possible that they got confused on, which direction they were going. Was that just no play altogether? I guess it was. So, saved by the bell. All right, punting. About 5 to 7 yards behind the punter, gaining more space behind the punter. Okay. So if you're going to gain more space, if you're going to zoom out to keep extra space behind the punter, again, referees, just look what it does to your shot. I'm seeing section after section after section after section after section of footage, that could actually be cut down significantly if we just got rid of the space behind the punter. Okay. And this is decent. It's 85% of your screen. But if you were to not have zoomed out so far, you wouldn't see so much of this crowd section here. Keep the focus on the field as much as possible. Now, along with that, what's the punter doing at this point? Once you find out that the punter didn't get knocked down after the punt, you can drop him, and then that changes your framing completely into this, right? And these are the 21 guys on the field that are going to be making an impact here. If the punter really wants to make an impact, he can get back in the shot, but they're dropping him anyway, right? At this point, they're dropping him completely. So if they're supposed to keep the punter in the shot, they're not doing it. And if they're supposed to drop him, they just took way longer than necessary to do that, right? I want to stay with this guy and stay tight on him at this point. And you can see now he's the one that's going to be defining the left side of your frame, right? And eventually they do get in, but it's still all this extra space, that could have been avoided this entire time. So, all right. Decent. Okay. Once they recognize the run, they stop zooming out immediately, and that's good. Okay. Quick dish off to the running back. Excellent. Run, 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 run. Okay. Run recognition, right? Just run all day. You can see the handoff. If it wasn't a handoff, what would the quarterback be doing? Not that, right? So that's your indicator. You're watching the people that have the ball. If he doesn't have the ball anymore, then you need to adjust what your plan was. Obviously, nobody's running routes, right? Right, I'd even say that the receiver here at the bottom of the screen could get dropped out at this point. Completely disengaged from his defender, and not really going to be a part of this play. Okay, if you're keeping him in, you're still at 75%, right? But I would say quarterback's out, receivers out. We're in here, right? And that's a whole different setup. You're closer to 50% there. Okay. Fourth and 7. All right. Kind of a deeper defender there on the punt team. Now, because this is a little different to have a defender back this deep on the punt, he's just going to walk right off the frame. Right, gone. Okay. It might be important to keep him in the shot. If a coach is going to walk into a room and see that this is the still frame that they're looking at any given time, they might not even realize that he's there. But he knows the referee's there, right? And I'd rather see the defender than the referee. So, okay, picked him back up again. But I'd like to keep him in the shot the entire time to see that. Okay. Overall, not bad. Good. Handoff up the middle. That works. The safety stepped off the backside just a little bit, and just the run recognition. If you can catch on a little bit sooner, to keep yourself from going out farther than you need to, like that. Okay. Okay, this is a run coming your direction, right? So everybody's going to fill this frame pretty quick. You really don't need to zoom out. This defender is coming this way. The more you zoom out, you're just going to gain more and more space this direction, which they continue to do. And then at some point, they just center the ball. So now we see all the surface cart and all the equipment and all that down on the sidelines. But not really, you know, the football that we want to focus on. Okay, nice job. Keeping the quarterback in just to make sure he doesn't still have the ball, and then the safety was tight on the other side. All right. Within 5 yards, both directions. Okay. Then there's that left to right movement, right? They knew that the ball was going towards the defense. So go ahead and move the camera towards the defense. Motion, is that going to change the framing? Kinda. Okay. All right. So motion they don't really need to zoom out there to adjust for that. They do just a little bit, but that's fine. And then here, once the ball's away, you know, obviously you don't need to zoom out any farther than that. There are people pressing the sideline, so it makes sense to at least go out to that far, right? I wouldn't go any farther than the top of the chains. You know, give a little bit of space, about a little bit of headroom at the top of the frame there. Yeah, just like that, right? And then not any farther than the bottom there. So that's decent. Oh, thought it was motion, but it's not. Now there is motion. Okay. All right. So that's where, you know, you don't necessarily just need to zoom out just because there's motion. It didn't really change anything, right? The safety takes 2-3 steps back, right? And which makes sense that you would want to zoom out to keep up with him, especially if they're going to snap the ball. But I would say if you really want to keep up with him, just cut down, you know, 4 or 5 yards here and then set it right on the back of the quarterback. And then zoom out, right? Zoom out with the quarterback and no play on that. But definitely space to cut that down and then keep the safety, you know, from pressing the edges. Okay. Yeah, that works. Okay, tight. This is good. Very, very usable footage here. Coaches can use that. Players can use that. A little bit of space behind the safeties within 10 yards. Okay, tight to the right side. That's good. Tight to the left. Excellent. Awesome. Okay, so this is kind of interesting because there's a lot of times where, you know, people are changing positions. That at this point, running back's the deepest man on the right-hand side. Quarterback takes that spot. Okay, safety's here. He's the farthest guy on the left-hand side, with still nice and tight on both sides here. This looks good. Now he's stepping up, and now this guy's taking that side, right? And guess what? The safety stepped up. What does that indicate? Ball's away. He's making a jump on the ball, and so you don't have to zoom out any further. But really, really great job on that play. Okay. Right here. Okay. So we got 5 yards behind the quarterback. It's pretty close. You know, closer to 10 behind the safety, and then there's space along the top and a little bit of space along the bottom. I'm not so worried about this space. More this and this. If you could cut it down, you know, to here. What does that do for your framing? You know, right now you're about 85%, right? and it would just kind of keep you a whole lot tighter, up above 90% in that excellent range, right? Okay. 4th and 2, punting. Punter, ref, ref. Refs are gone. Punter stays in. Refs are back. Zooming way out. Short punt. Okay. So the amount of space behind, it's a little different because that was a short punt. Something's going on. He's got people right up on him or something. Just a really short, shallow punt. And so it lands just past the 50. So most of the time filmers aren't expecting it to go that shallow. So he's zooming out thinking he's going to, he's still got a whole lot more ground to cover. That works. Always like it to be tighter, but most important thing is that you see the ball away from the punt. Punter's leg. As soon as the ball's away, they can start the counter on the hang time and measure it. Probably wasn't going to be real long on that one. And then the distance also not real long. So awesome job. Look at this. All right, just anywhere along here. Click, click. Okay, 3 yards. Bam. Right there. Bam. Love it. Nice work. Excellent. Way to use your frame. I like the tight setups. Every play, right, has been really, really good. Okay. Okay. So decent amount of space here, and just I don't know what's going on here. Tip ball. Yep, tip ball. Okay, but just gaining a lot of space behind the quarterback after the ball's away. The tip ball may have just kind of thrown him for a second. Not sure what happened there. And so like, okay, well, let's just make sure I'm still zooming out. But not bad, but could definitely cut down the space behind the quarterback. Space behind the punter, same. Okay, you're either keeping the punter in the shot or you're dropping him. If you're going to drop him, go ahead and do it 2 or 3 seconds after the ball's away. It's going to make a big difference for the other 21 guys on the field, right? If the punter's job is to punt it as far as possible, he's done it. And as soon as the ball's away, make sure that he doesn't get run into, right? There's not going to be any penalties coming back. And then and just go ahead and drop him right then. Okay, this is run all the way. So zooming out, it just causes a lot of extra space behind the play. Okay, they're dropping the quarterback. Right, so this is where it's at. Closer to 50%. Okay. That's why I call out really great run recognition anytime I see it, because it makes a huge difference in what you're seeing on the field. Everybody's condensing to one spot, and it creates a pile, right? And you just kind of see this mass of jerseys. You don't really know what's going on, especially if you zoomed out like it was a pass, right? You're still zooming out and gaining all that extra space. Similar to here, here's a pass, but at this point, ball's away. Just kind of have to recognize, and you see these plays every single day, all day long. You know, you see him every week in games. You know that quarterbacks, for the most part, don't sit in the pocket for much longer than that. So the timing of it, you know, you got to figure he's getting the ball off and getting it to his receivers much sooner than here where he was zooming out at. Okay. Motion, motion, motion. Too much motion. Can't have that much motion. Okay. No play. Framed up. Nice. Oh, 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 oh. Huh. I mean, seeing the run, it's right there, right? This is 22 guys in the shot. 22. Still 22. We're going to drop that guy at the bottom. Now it's 21 guys. Drop a guy out the right side. Now it's 20. Quarterback's out. That's 19. Okay. 19 guys, but, you know, an extra 15 yards out in front of the runner. Just kind of kept zooming out to see the crowd and the, you know, sidelines in general. Right here, this is it, right? This is where you just keep it. And the run recognition is, hey, everybody's going to start chasing after that one guy with the ball. So everybody's going to one spot on the field. All these guys in the green are going to this one spot, and then these other guys in the white and green are going to try to get in their way. Right? Just like in simplest terms, right? Up there, look at that, getting in his way, right? I'm not going to let you get there. Not going to let you get there. Oh, that's a cool block. I'd love to see more of it, right? I'd love to see even more of what their hands are doing, but they're so small on the screen right now that I can't really identify the hand, you know, hand fighting that's going on, and how great of a block that was, and how close it was for really springing a touchdown run, right? How much more would it have to play? But I'm seeing the crowd, several sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections of Green Bay, you know, crowd, which is cool and all, but I mean, I like the football. So and it came back anyways. Flags on play. Must have been a hold. Okay. So it's decent. Great setup. Nice and tight. Yep. That works. Okay. Nice. Hey, alright. I like this. Okay. So right here, they're making a conscious effort. You can see it. You can see that this is a conscious effort to stay tight on this. Watch, right here. Stop. Okay? He stops. Stops zooming out. Oh, want to make sure that everybody's in the shot. Stops again, right? There's 2 points where they stop zooming out to make sure that they're staying tight. And then zooming out again, right? If you can, you know, just control the camera to the point where you're able to zoom out at the exact pace as the receivers, it's a challenge, but it's definitely doable. But you know, that avoids that stop and go. But you know, what they were doing there was really, really good. Okay. Great punt. Let's go. Okay. Punter. Great job. No. Got to do it again. Never mind. Can you do it again? Because that was awesome. Oh, look at him get down the field, too. Okay. Not as far as the last one. Oh, man. The one punt that didn't count was, like, awesome. All right. Is there anything we can do to tighten this up going down the field? Right here. I mean, zooming in. You know, they're zooming in, they're zooming in, they're zooming in, and then right here they stop zooming in for some reason. I don't know why, because everybody's even gonna get even tighter to this back running with the ball. Right now they're zooming back in, so that would be the one thing. If you can tighten that up, would make the difference. Not bad though. I was able to see everything I needed to on that. I was able to see hang time, distance of the punt, the defenders running down the field to make a tackle, and all the blockers getting in their way. So, you know, the tightening up, you get to see more of that, right? Let's see more. Oh, okay. Let's see more football. Less grass, more football. Okay, less crowd, more football. Less equipment, more football. Hey, kept him from the Gatorade. Great job. All right. Okay. Got some space behind the quarterback, but decent. Awesome. Nice work. Okay, that's a challenge, right? That's a lot of guys going a lot of directions very quickly, 60 yards down the field. Stayed with every last one of them. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. What can we do to tighten this up? I mean, it's a pass, a little dish out to the running back coming out of the backfield, right? At that point, you know, zooming out at all is going to just gain you more and more space, even just a little bit. As soon as he releases the ball, stop, right? All right. Doesn't actually stop zooming out till here, and at that point, he's already gained all this extra space behind the safety. Yep. $75. Okay, 2nd and 1. There's 42 seconds to go in the half. Obviously want to get the ball into scoring position here any way they can. Alright. Safety hits the edge on this side. Let's see if there's anything we can do to stop that from happening. I mean, they're tight, right? I'd just say the one thing you can do is just recognize that this is a passing down, you know. At this point in the game with 42 seconds to go in the half, you got to figure that most teams are going to be passing right here, right? So just expecting that his first step is going to be dropping back like that. Great throw. Wow. Fantastic. Coach got taken out. Nice job. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Clock is running. Let's call it a timeout because there wasn't much time between plays there. So they used the timeout to save the time. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Gave it up. All right. Going back the other way. Awesome job. Okay. Really great. 16 seconds. So the question is, can the Eagles get back in a scoring position? Maybe put 3 on the clock on the board. Oh, so close. Okay. 11 seconds. Maybe time for one more after this. I'm just going to try to get some right up the middle. Okay. About halftime. Oh, 4th and 4. Okay. Yep. They're just using up the clock. Whoa! All right. Oh, that's a cool shot. Love it. All right. Very cool. Nice. Motion doesn't change anything. No knee-jerk reaction to that. That's good. Great job. Nice tight formation. Tight setup. Single back. Got an offset blocking lead blocker. And he comes out for pass. That works. Pretty simple, straightforward. Well, pass to the back coming right at you. Pulls it down, drops back. Okay. It's really good. Okay. Didn't bite on the play fake at all. Decent setup. Not as tight as other setups that I've seen. And then going out wide after that. So that's kind of where the tighter setups, to be tight at the beginning, I don't know if it's psychological or it just puts everybody on the edges of the frame to the point where you know exactly where everyone is, and all you have to do is keep them on the edge of the frame, right? By not having as tight of a setup here, right, having more than 5 yards in both directions here, at least behind the safety, then it gets wider from there, right? And now we're into 20-yard range, right? Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice and tight. There you go. Okay. Just pause it for a second. Just to look here, you got the perfect framing. Okay, perfect setup. Motion doesn't change anything. This doesn't change anything. Play action. This doesn't change anything. Everybody's right here in the shot. You really don't need to zoom out. There's nobody pressing the edges, right? It's all right here. It's self-contained, right? You have the perfect framing to start, and then everything happens within that same frame. Okay. Great job. Bunch left. Single back right. Everybody's in routes, and the quarterback is pulling it down and running. There you go. Awesome. Nice. Run coming this way. There you go. Alright. Nice job. No play. Flag. Alright. Motion across. Nice. Perfect. Salute to service. Okay, zooming out with the kicker. Keeping him in the shot. That works. Great framing. Nice and tight to the edges. Still tight. Awesome. Looks good. Whole lot of crowd at the end. You know, just keep pointing it at the field. You know, even if you're going sideline to sideline at that point. Just, you know, top of the chains is about as high as I'll film on any given shot. And that just keeps the focus on the field, which is where the players need to, you know, be paying attention. That play was fantastic. Awesome. Nice job. I like it. Great setup. I love it. Really, really great job. Like that a lot. Okay. Whoa! Referee almost got jacked in the face. Okay. Nice work, filmer. I'm seeing so much going on this. Really impressed. Stay in there. Stay tight with it. Decent. Very usable. Awesome. Love it. Fourth and 9. Punting? Nope, going for it. Oh, wow. Nice job. Great work. Okay, hand the ball back. Okay. Some space behind the quarterback. They use that space really well, and that works. I like that. If you're going to have space behind the quarterback, don't zoom out, right? Let the quarterback use that space. Let them fill in that gap, right? And they didn't. They did a great job with that. Nice work. Dang. That was awesome. As a former defensive end, I appreciate that play right there. Let's go. Nice. Nice job. Fourth and 9. Punting. Okay. Oh, and there's the contact, right? And they saw where the ball landed. Fantastic job. I saw all that, right? I guess they didn't call it. They just called it a touchback. So, there you go. Oh, okay. Run recognition, right? As soon as you see this ball handing off, and then even if you don't, okay, it's a quick pitch. But even if you don't, the quarterback's here. What are the safeties doing on this side? Rushing up as fast as possible, right? So clearly not going to be a play action pass. All right, here we're into wider than we really need to be. 50%, 50 to 55%. So, all right, that was dropping the quarterback. Quarterback's not doing anything up there anyway. It's fine. If you were to include him, it still would have been way wide. Okay. Great setup as usual. Staying with everybody. Fantastic. Awesome. Let's go. Let's go. That dude's fired up too. I'm fired up. Alright. Tight set. Motion. Shouldn't change anything. Doesn't. Okay. Nice. Tight set. Oh. And run recognition. Okay. Alright. So now the safety runs off the backside just a little. I'd like to keep him in the shot just to make sure that, to see what he's doing. If I'm going to drop either of these guys, I'd rather keep the safety, drop the quarterback, as long as I know that the quarterback doesn't still have the ball. If I have to choose between the two of them, I'd choose to keep the safety. But I'd really like to, at least zoom out a little bit longer to make sure that I see the safety's footwork, how many steps he's taking as a drop, and all that. But it is a run, it is decent. You can drop out some players on a run as you start to zoom in, but typically you're zooming in because everybody's condensing to that play, to that one spot, right? Just like the safety is here, right? But here, this is much more what I want to see. This safety's going to step up, this safety's going to step back, and then right here, change direction and get forward. That's what we didn't get to see on the last play. That I like this play way better than the last one. All right. Awesome. Fantastic. Okay, home stretch. It's 3-0 in the fourth quarter. So, let's see what happens. Okay, fantastic. I mean, everything about this. Fantastic. Great setup. Okay, zoom out. Run recognition. All right, no more zooming out. Guys, safety is within 2 yards. Quarterback's still in the shy. He's got 3 yards. Now the safety steps up, and Now the corner and the receiver take that edge now, right? Fantastic. A lot going on, a lot of things are changing. Filmer stays right in there, doesn't panic. Hey, I've got the perfect frame for this. I can let it ride. Okay, can we tighten this up at all? Right. Once the ball's away, if you're still zooming out, you're just going to continue to gain more and more and more space behind the receiver there. All right. Just over 70. Okay. Okay. Same thing here. All right. We had a really great stretch of staying really tight, and I feel like we got away from that a little bit here. All right, got 12 yards behind the quarterback, 15, 20 yards behind the 15 yards behind the safety there. So, that's just makes for much wider footage. I'm just going to put the box on it so you can see it as well. 60%, 60 to 65. Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice job. Very good work. Fourth and 11. Nice and tight behind the punter. Let's go. Yes, punts away. Ball's up. Where's the ball? There it is. Oh! Okay. All right. So okay. So punts away. Ball came off his foot at the 48-yard line. Ball comes down. What is that? 6-yard line? 7-yard line? What a punt. Okay. A little bit of extra space behind behind the defender here. And then there's just a lot of space back here. Right? And so there's a lot going on in this play, and I'd love to see more of it. Right? I'd love to see less of the crowd and more of the meat of what's going on. You got a guy contesting that ball went into the end zone. He's saying it should be a touchback. Packers are trying to keep it out of the end zone. We're around 70% of the frame, and there's a lot of good information happening up here that I'd love to be able to see. And then it was just kind of quick at the end there, but on that one, really wanted to see more. Okay. Nice. Nice and tight. Motion changes it a little bit, and then pitch is going the other direction. Okay. Just see it all happening. It's all right there in front of you. Motion didn't change anything. Tight on both sides. Okay, gaining some space here. Not bad. Zooming out at this point. Okay. All right. So let's say zooming out is the right thing to do here, right? right here, right? Let's gain more space. But where? Are we gaining, 25 yards in front of the running back and the surface cart and the Gatorade and, the teammates on the sidelines? Or are we gaining space to show who's actually, making blocks out on the field? Really, I mean, these are the people I want to see at any stage of this run, right? Right there, yards after the catch. Got another 5-10 yards behind the quarterback after he releases it, and then another 10 yards behind defenders. So, I mean, you're really kind of already out wide there. It's very usable footage, but there's a lot of room for it to tighten up. Pass. Over the top. Up. And that's a score. Let's go. Nice work. Okay. Putting some points on the board late. 10-0. Takes all of us. Filmer included. Right. This is week 10 of the season. These players have gotten to improve every step along the way because of the work of the filmer, right? And that's why it's so important, and that's why it's important to get it right. There's nobody stopping you from getting it right. There's there's always a defender on the other side. There's always a coach trying to ruin your plans for this Sunday. Not the case with the filmer, right? Filmer is has a wide open door to just make it as perfect as possible every single play. Just got to know what those steps are and what we can do to make them better, right? Okay, well, to start, within 5 yards behind the safety, within 15 behind the quarterback, right? It cuts it down to 10, right? After the snap of the ball, but still keeps that 10, right? If you're not set up correctly to start, you're going to, add extra things that don't need to be there. And so you can see it right here. We put the 2/3 on it, right? There's half a guy, half a guy, half a guy. One whole guy for this entire space, and then just everybody else is on the line, right? Really, the ball should be on this line, and the entire offense should be mostly here, aside from these guys, these three guys, right? So the majority of your offense should be behind this line. And then the other 2/3 going to the defense. Now you don't have to zoom out to keep the safeties in the shot because the safeties have all the space in the world, right? The quarterback has enough space to drop back. Even if you were, tight on this side, he'd still drop back to maybe about here, right? Let's just see where his drop back actually ends. Right there, right? Little extra space. So what is this? The 18-yard line. Okay. So if you were to bring this all the way to here, that's where the edge of the frame should be. Decent. Looks really good. Okay. Let's go back here. 75. Right. Does it get any better? No, it gets worse, right? So it goes from 75 down to less than 70. Okay? That works. Nice work. Great job. So tight along the edges. It's third down. 3rd and 8. Passing down. Nice. Okay. So common thing that a lot of filmers will do is center the ball. Okay, as soon as they figure out where the ball went, they center it. Right? And what that does is it just kind of puts, even if the player's on the sideline, there's 21 guys behind him, right? You see the ball as close to the center here. This is the center point, and this is the ball, right? And by doing that, now we see all this, right? Which is not football. Football's up here, okay? So, cutting off your bottom edge right about here makes a ton of sense, and that'd probably be about a third. A third of this is crowd and clutter along the sidelines. Okay, not that it's not important. It's just not important for the video. But all in all, on that play, everything was really well done. Okay. Quick pitch to the motion man. Tight frame, within 5 yards, both directions. Okay. Oh, okay. There it is. I was gonna say, jeez. All right, great job. Staying tight with everybody. Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. Let's go. Okay. This receiver ends up in the absolute corner of this frame. Right there. He's right there. Quarterback's here. Okay, they're starting to drop him out, which is fine. But look at that. Look at that, top to bottom. Okay, fantastic. Okay, opposite of centering the ball, right? Keeping everybody in the frame, right to left, top to bottom. Letting them fill that frame as best as possible. Look at this. Awesome. Awesome. Special teams. Perfect. It's good. Kick off. Keeping the kicker in the shot. And coming back in. Excellent. Okay. Wow. What a play. Nice job. Okay, 2nd and 12. 5 minutes to go in the game. 10-7. Interested to see where this goes. Okay. Eagles need to keep the ball. Keep it out of the Green Bay's hands. Not this time. Let's go. 3rd and 12. Passing down. Gotta figure. See if they can get the first down. Keep the ball. Okay. Yep. Got the first. Alright, so right here, within 10 yards, at this point, zooming up and dropping these guys out the bottom of the frame just to show more of the crowd, really kind of that centering the ball, okay? You kind of see they're moving the center of the frame up to where the ball is. And by doing that, you're just going to gain a bunch of space up here and then cut guys off the bottom. Right. Now, as you zoom up, it's going to zoom to the center of your frame, so you can zoom in and pan up at the same time, right? And that's how you address that instead of panning up and then zooming in. Okay, it's good. Okay. Third and 2. Okay, interested to see what they do here. So you want to get the first down. Inside handoff. Okay. That's the first down, right? Fulmer's able to stay up with all this late in the game. Handoff, run. Okay, trying to run the clock down at this point. Right, so just knowing the situation, knowing formations, understanding where we're at in the game, and how that's going to play out throughout the rest of this game, right? It's just going to be an indicator as to what to expect from each play. Might not always happen the way you expect it to, but at least you have a place to start from. All right, so we've got a lot of space behind the safety there, about 75%. Okay. This is 4th and 8. Okay. He's got to have it down. Calling timeout. Oh, delay of game. That's different. Okay. 4th and 13. And now it's punt. Okay. I see. They do that sometimes. All right. So punting. Ball's up and away. Awesome. Great job. Great tight set here. Safety's tight. Quarterback's tight. Awesome job. Nice. Okay. Can we tighten this up at all? Okay. Right, back in that 75%. So yeah, you got 10, 15 yards behind the safety. Plenty of room to come in from there. So, all right, 3rd and 10. They got the ball back. They just need to get down the field and score here. Okay. All right. Went out wide on that one too. Let's see here. Less than 70%. Okay, about 65%. Awesome. Couldn't do that much better. Okay. Great setup. Great job. 3rd and 10. Okay, minute 51 to go. This has got to have it, right? Got to convert here. Move this down to the next. Okay. Yes. 4th. 4th and 1. 4th and 1. Lining up. Okay, they're not just going to push forward. Handoff. Oh no. Oh no. That's going to do it, folks. Okay. They did a good job of keeping up with everybody. That was a crazy play. And, you know, this is victory. Nope, just going to run it straight forward. Okay. Awesome. Great job. Okay. Must have had some timeouts left because they're not taking much off the clock here with all these run plays. 3rd run in a row. Nothing. Okay. Great job. 4th and 6. Going for it. 33 seconds left to go. Drop back. Quick throw. It's pretty good. Great job. Okay, 1st and 10. Last chance. 27 seconds. Staying with everyone. Yes. Yes. Awesome job. Keeping the safety in the shot. Fantastic. Great job. 20 seconds. 6 seconds. Spike it. Okay. 5 seconds. Not close enough to kick the field goal. Oh. Okay. Last chance. They are kicking the field goal. Okay. Nope. Didn't make it. Wow. All right. Well, way to finish out with a string of excellent plays there at the end, boosting up your score. Right in that last couple series, which was a major deal there at the end of the game. A close game, ended up 10-7 Eagles. So, yeah, what they did there at the end was really, really good in a lot of different scenarios and being ready for everything. So, out of 152 plays, 132 were positive. That gives you a score of 87%. 55% were excellent. That gives you a little bit of a bonus, pushing up to 92.3. So great job from the Green Bay filmer for Week 10 from 2025. Very excited to see what the Packers can put together for 2026, and best of luck. This has been Cameraman Grades.